Woohoo! Good evening, all. Welcome. Tonight, I'm going to be doing something slightly different. I am going to be setting up a studio Sketchpad using MainStage 3. So, MainStage is software that I have gone back and forth on several times, and I love it, and it infuriates me, truly, because there are some things about it that are like awesome, and then there's a few maddening things that if you're trying to do advanced features, just drive me up the wall. And I had a big project that I was working on about a year ago, and it totally like came crashing down hardcore style. And so that was really frustrating. But I'm giving it another chance. And here we are this evening, and we're going to give it a shot. So what I've done first off is I've opened up a default workspace here in MainStage, which you can see. And what I'm going to do is go through and set it up to be specific to my studio. And I'm going to try to, put the information that I need on screen, get some fun patches, and hopefully get something kind of usable. So that will be the process. And yeah, so let's dive into it. Just get my YouTube page pulled up here so I can see if anybody's chatting. Cool. All right. All right, so here we are. And let's make sure you guys can actually hear that. Yeah, you should be able to hear that pretty good. Cool. All right. So in my studio, let's talk about setup real quick. I have several things. There you go. You can see it in this angle. So I've got the microphones, obviously. I've got an electronic drum kit. I've got guitars, and I have the keyboard here. Got an acoustic piano in the back over there. So, and then everything else is in the box mostly. Got like a wireless headset and stuff like that. So what I like to do a lot of times when I'm working is I want to have just like everything on, and I want it delineated by channel, right? So I don't want to have to sit there and like mess with new tracks and stuff like that. I want everything to be on and running so that I can just sort of jam and loop ideas and come up with something. It breaks you out of the mold of kind of getting into the DAW and like always needing to make a new track and all that kind of stuff. Now templates fix some of that, but sometimes it's just nice to have this different mentality. You're in like a different piece of software, and the constraints aren't there anymore. So that's what I like to do. All right, so setup wise, on the MIDI side of things, I've got several MIDI devices here. Let me bring the headphones up. Good. Several MIDI devices. Okay, so I've got this Nectar Impact LX25 that I'm using kind of as a main controller. I've got this Korg Micro Key 37. I've got the Nano Control 2 and the Nano Pad. Which right now they're all triggering synths simultaneously because the channels are set to Omni. And then I've also got, and sorry, so you won't hear me as well, but I'm going to play drums through this. But I've got this Roland V-Kit. So, as you can hear, the V-Kit was wrongly triggering a synth again. And now that's by design at first. MainStage does that by default because they want you to be able to hear any MIDI that you play, so it's like a default setting. What I'm going to do is, at the concert level in MainStage, go through and set up specific devices for each one. So the way that we're going to do that, I'm going to get started here. The way that we're going to do that, let's go to the concert level, go to the layout tab, and we are going to add some MIDI activity monitors. There we go. Cool. So let's go to all controls. And I'm going to add MIDI activity monitors. Now, why am I doing... Oh, yes. This is... doing it? Yes, I think it is. There we go. Okay. Oh, MainStage. I love it and I hate it. There's these little things that just drive me nuts. And this is one of them. There we go. The computer is bogged down, apparently. Okay, so the MIDI activity monitor. The whole purpose of this thing is to check and see if MIDI is coming through on a certain channel. But it's got a side usage that isn't immediately obvious. But you can also use the MIDI activity monitor to create a device. A channel-specific device. So for example, I've got two keyboards here and I don't want them to both trigger. So one of the things that you can do is, let's say this becomes our main keyboard here. Ooh, MainStage is really dragging. Okay, so this is our main keyboard. So I'm going to click Assign. Cool. So what you notice happened is that it assigned it to the MIDI Impact LX25 port 1, channel 1. Okay, so now the keys are only going to respond to that port. So if I play now this Korg over here, it should be the keys should be no longer responding. So let's go across to the Edit tab. Wow, my iMac is struggling tonight. Let's see what we got. A little hot, but not too bad. All right, so I guess here's the other good caveat that we ought to mention, right? I just recently ran all of the software updates. Yeah, there we go. Good. So High Sierra for the operating system, and then Logic 10.4. Yeah, 10.4? Yeah, 10.3, whatever it is. And Final Cut 10.4 for sure. I know that's the right version for that. I forget but new version of Logic is installed. Just installed some new stuff in MainStage. So yeah, I expect that this may be a little slow. We'll see. Cool. All right, so good. So I am now playing, so when I play the Nectar, when I play the Korg, nothing. So you can see the MIDI activity light flashes when I play it, but there's no sound output. So it's a way of making channels discrete between different devices, which is really, really handy. So let's head back over to the Layout tab, and hopefully it'll roll a lot quicker this time. Ha. Man, struggling tonight. Struggling. Not even using that much CPU. Hello. Dogs and son. Got it okay? Cool. Alright. So, where was I? Oh yeah, so I'm making discrete devices here. Alright, so far, I've already assigned the keyboard. So you can do it multiple ways. You don't just need the MIDI activity monitor. Any MIDI object that you drag to the screen, like the keyboard, could also be another way of doing that. But I like the activity monitors because you can make them tiny and then separate out by channels all your different devices. So I really, on the screen, I don't need to see a whole lot. And so I can get away with activity monitor. I just want to see that MIDI is coming through. And unless there's something I need to remember specifically about a certain device, then I will... I don't need, special devices for that. So one such example, let's go ahead and assign this to the Korg now. All right, cool. So you saw over here on the MIDI port now, it's assigned to the micro key 37. So we have that activity monitor. So now this should be showing keys, and this should light up when the Korg is playing on that port. Cool. All right, so let's do another. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and kill these pedals. Don't really need to see those on the screen. So who knows? This might be a video where I actually turn you away from MainStage because you get to watch how. Now, to clarify, I am actually running with a lot. So I'm running all the streaming software and a couple of video apps and stuff. So my 2011 iMac might be struggling a little bit, but I don't know. This is pretty abnormal. It should be handling it okay. My CPU meter actually isn't even that high, so yeah, not even that high. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So this is now assigned to the micro key. Let's add another activity monitor. And you can also double click on it, and that will add them like so. Let's line it up. All right, this one, we will change the color. And I'm gonna assign this to, let's do the nano pad. Cool. All right, so you can see it came up, pad, nano pad 2, channel 10, because these are drum pads, and oftentimes drums will go to MIDI channel 10. I've got them set up that way too, on purpose. All right, so next up, let's add another activity monitor. Dragon. Man, after the stream tonight, I am going to be doing some troubleshooting to see if I can figure out if this is the most recent update that's Dragon, so that I can give Apple more feedback, like I always do with MainStage. It's such a great idea. It's such a wonderful idea, and it's really great when your needs are simple, right? A single MIDI controller with a bunch of patches, or one guitar and a voice, right? When your needs are simple, MainStage is great. But as soon as you start trying to do some of the advanced stuff that it has built into it, it's there, it's made for it, it really starts to struggle, and that's what is so frustrating. And that's why I've ended up playing live with Logic actually more, because I just get so irritable. Okay, so on this one, I'm going to assign, I'll be off the mic for a second, but this is going to be the Roland V drums. Hey, dogs. Oh, drumstick fell. Okay, cool. So, yes, there you go. Okay, so you can see that the V drum is now its own object assigned to channel 10. All right, so let's take a little look-see over to the Untitled concert, and let's see if we're getting discrete outputs on everything. Man, Dragon MainStage, Dragon. Okay. Cool, looks good so far. Okay, so what I just did is played on the Nectar, And I'm getting sound because that's the only device that's assigned on this particular patch. Played on the Korg. And we get the activity monitor for the Korg, but no sound because again, it's now discretely assigned. So it's no longer, this patch is no longer listening to all channels. It's only listening for the main one that it's assigned to. So let's edit this patch and get multiple things going on that we can use with all these devices we just assigned. All right, cool. What's up, man? Can you shut the door? Awesome. Thank you. All right, so in our Arctic noise lead patch, we are at the patch level. And let's go ahead and make a new track. So first, let's take a look at what we got. So we've got this Arctic lead. It's an alchemy patch. Man, this will be a fascinating troubleshooting session to see why it is dragging so much. Okay, MIDI input, there we go. So you can see here the keyboard that's assigned to this channel strip is the Nectar Impact. All right, cool, good. Let's add a second keyboard. So we're gonna add a second instrument. MIDI input, let's make it the Korg. That way we'll get separate sounds out of each one. Sending to output 1 and 2. And let's make this one our... got the vintage clav, MainStage instruments. Oh, what the hey, let's just pick one. Yeah, whatever. Okay, let's do retro synth just as an example. Cool. Cool. Okay, now we have our retro synth here on the Korg. Alright, so that sounds pretty terrible at the moment, but that's because the patch is awful. But we do have two separate timbres happening. With mod wheel, and then over here. So, already you can see how if MainStage will run smoothly on your system, you can see how useful this would be. So let's keep going. So first off, let's make this a more simpatico patch alignment. So the retro synth, pretty cool. All right, so I don't want Arctic noise lead. Let's do something arpeggiated. Starbugs. Sure, that's kind of neato. Works for me. All right, go down an octave here. Cool. All right, so we have two patches going on. Let's keep it up. So remember, now this is all at the patch level. So important thing about MainStage that a lot of people that are beginners get confused on is the different levels. So when you build something at the concert level, it will apply to every single patch. It'll be present. So if I built this instrument in the concert, that means every patch and every set that you create will automatically have that pre-built in there. So that's a good thing when you've got something that's static that's going to be consistent through an entire concert, like let's say a vocal chain and you don't really want to do effects or anything. Build your vocal channel strip at the concert level if that's going to be present, you know, in every single song, every single set. And then the set level, so this patch, this is one of the default patches and they've got it organized by leads, pads, bass, all that kind of stuff. I like to organize sets by song, but again, that's kind of because of I tend to be using more advanced features, and so I want like patches for each section of the song so that I can transition between them. So you can use them however you want, but the sets essentially are just a way of organizing patches. So if you've got something that's common to, if you're using them as a song, for example, and you've got some common elements that will be present in the whole song, you put it at the set level, and then in every patch that you build, that will be present. So just remember to keep track of that. So I built this at the patch level, meaning it's only going to be in this patch. And as soon as I change patches, it's a completely different set of channel strips. All right, so next up, let's do it again. This time we're going to do the nano pad, output 1 and 2. Ooh, excuse me. And we need some drums. And I don't have my external hard drive plugged in, or I would be picking my third-party stuff, but that's actually probably a good thing. So let's do Ultra Beat. There we go. Got sound. Cool. All right, so notice. All right, so you don't hear any doubling, and that's exactly what we want. Every MIDI device delineated by channel. Oh, and another thing I forgot to do. So right now, the Nectar Impact also has keypads. So we could actually break those out further into their own group. And so then you'd have three, for me, I'd have 3 different sets of drum pads. So I'd have the pads on the Nectar, pads on the Korg, and then any drum pad sounds. So what I do is I like to keep the pads over here on the desk as like either electronic, you know, kind of techno drums, or percussion. So here, let's get a cool kit from Kits. What one do I always like? Lo-fi glitch is kind of neato. Okay, cool. There we go. Drum pads. All right, next up, let's build an acoustic kit, or a simulated, haha, simulated acoustic kit. So I've got the V drums. And for this one, oh yeah, that's right, drum kit designer. So, addictive drum. Normally I'd pick addictive drums too, but again, I don't have my external drive plugged in at the moment. I was traveling. All right, so let's see if I, okay, so I got sound. This is good. Mapping V drum. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to test it on the kit. Cool. Okay, so the V drums work, so that's good. All right, so now what we have here is a patch that's like a pure studio Sketchpad. So the next thing I would do from here is go in and build like a loopback plugin and build the controls, like some way to trigger, you know, record and loop and everything, and that way I can practice parts. So cool. So it's like, it's very nice. It's very like freeing, you know, because you're not worried about like a track at a time and like writing really formal parts. It's more, much more like back to being like loose and free form, and you can sort of do whatever you want and just get ideas down as quickly as you can. So that's kind of neat. Okay, so now let's build the loop back function. Let me, and sorry, I didn't test. I'm listening through my speakers, but let me hear what you guys are hearing. Vocal check. All right, hey, that's not too bad. right, cool. So let's build a looping mechanism. Okay, cool. Patch bus 1. All right, and then now let's add a main stage delay, I think it's under. Yeah, loop back. Cool. All right, here's our loop back function, and now we're gonna route all of the rest of the tracks that we just made to loop back. So let's send it to patch bus 1. And we're gonna send volume. Oh, okay, so yeah, sorry, one other thing I'm gonna do. So now that that's happened, so at first I had everything routed to output 1 and 2. So I'm gonna make a change now, and I am going to remove or mute, take away the outputs here. Now the reason why I'm doing that is so that I don't double the signal and clip it, right? So now I'm just sending. So now everything is gonna run through this patch bay loopback channel. So you'll still hear it, right? But now you're only hearing the send. So I took the output out now, and I'll show it to you real quick. So if I put output 1 and 2 back in, you're gonna hear double, and it's probably gonna clip the output a little bit. Okay, so in this case it didn't clip. Let me add some more and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so you can see how it's like building up because it's doubled. And that would quickly clip if everything was going. So what I do is just have it all routed to the stereo bus. That way loopback is getting it, but you're not clipping your master output. Alright, tempo. Oh yeah, so I need a way to adjust concert tempo, and I'll do that later. So we'll stick with 120, that's fine. Okay, so we'll do a 4 beat count in, metronome on. There we go, cool. So yeah, I'll do kind of this like 80s driving thing, so let's do it. Okay, so I was a little off on my timing, but you get the idea. All right, so now it's looping. Okay, so cool, you get the idea. So it's nice because you can start looping stuff in real time, right? So you've got this quick, easy way to like get down a bunch of parts and try a bunch of different ideas on a bunch of instruments, and it's a lot less once it's set up, right? So what I would do is save this as a template and then just open this up, and this is my studio Sketchpad. You can still record a stereo file from MainStage so that you've got the idea down as a sketch where you can go back and listen to it. Or you can output each part separately. So what you could do is go in and create a separate loopback plugin for each individual channel strip. And that way each one is its own discrete audio file that you can later export if you find a part that you really like. That way they're not blended. So this one would be blended right now and you just have a master stereo file. If you did discrete ones, you would have your tracks kind of pre-built there, especially if you had good performances. So it's a really good use for MainStage. I like using this a lot because it just sort of frees you up to get back into like a very creative zone where you're not thinking so much about the DAW. Once it's like built and set up, you can just kind of hit record and go and try parts and keep it looping and stay right in the zone. So really cool. So hope that was helpful for you. I'll do some more of this. I'm gonna get back and troubleshoot why MainStage is running so slow. And then we'll do some more, and I'll do a more detailed example where I've got everything sort of pre-built, and then I'll go over what I did. But if you are a Logic user and you own MainStage, this can be a really cool, fun way to sort of break out of a mold that you may find yourself in and open up some new songwriting possibilities. So you guys have a good night. Thanks for watching. By the way, recently we just crossed 700 subscribers on the channel, and I'm so happy. Thank you. Subscribe, keep liking. It really helps. Every little bit helps. And I'm so excited for where this is going. So thanks for sticking around. All right, cool. Thanks for joining me tonight. I hope this was fun and informative for you. Thanks for the patience with MainStage being slow. Hopefully that will not happen next time, but when I do come back on, I will give you the status report so that you can make a judgment call for yourself. I'm all about not filtering, right? So if I say that MainStage is a good tool and then in real time it begins to crap out on me, then maybe it's not. So I'm happy to say that, but I want to do a little more troubleshooting first to see if I just don't have a fucked up system for tonight, or if something else was bogging it down. So anyway, signing off. Have a good one.